It's been well over a year and a half now. Plenty of things have likely transpired within that period. As for me, my name is Punkyjoe, formerly Punkyjoe. I was a prominent member within the Jukes Towers of Hell community around 2018 to 2022. As most of you know, I had been exiled due to a controversy where I had been shown displaying degenerate and quite frankly repulsive actions around a minor. This minor being 13 to 14 years of age during the time of this incident, while I was 20. Of course, this had led to countless accusations and allegations that I am a pedophile and groomer. However, before I continue, there are some things that I must clarify. Firstly, the scope of my actions stem on the highly inappropriate end of the scale. Inappropriate, I know, is a word that has lost some meaning in this day and age, so I will elaborate further. I will admit right here and now there was no sexual interest or intentions towards the minor. I had made multiple inappropriate comments about adult men and women I had been erotically role-playing with, as well as being way too open with my sex life. There were no images requested, explicit or not, no erotic roleplay with the minor themselves. No extreme personal information was ever disclosed between us, i.e. names, addresses, appearances. There was zero desire for me to ever want to meet up with this minor. Now, throughout the entire span of the controversy, I have done nothing but systematically blunder and squander every opportunity to try and exonerate myself. Now, I know this is quite a serious topic, but there is one important thing I feel needs to be said. Now, first and foremost, to the minor I had interacted with, if you are watching this, and I only hope that you are, I just wanted to apologize once more for everything. The stress and pain I have likely caused you was fully and utterly my own fault. I let my own vices and flaws grip and consume me until I led a self-destructive path that only brought pain to those who I cared about. I had done nothing but try to manipulate and take the easy way out of things when I myself should have been more upfront and honest with everyone, especially you. I had become overly reliant on you for my mental health, which had not only led me to hurt you, but likely brought a trauma that will remain with you for who knows how long. Not for a second do I want you to think that any of this is your fault, nor do I hold any ill feelings towards you. You did what was felt was right, and in the end you were correct in that regard. I can only hope that my foolish actions have not led to any permanent damages, physically, psychologically, or spiritually. I know what I have done is inexcusable, and I agree. No amount of mental instability or depression can justify any of my problems. I only hope you and those listening can understand where my incompetence had stemmed from. By no means am I asking you to forgive it, or me, or to look past all this. I merely wish to put some false information to rest alongside informing the general public of what happened, since I notice there's still a lot of confusion. Worry not, I do not plan on sugarcoating anything in this video. With that out of the way, I believe I can now explain and go into detail on what had happened. As stated prior, my name is Punkyjoe. My history and time in the community started during 2007 when Kaneko Kitten made their first video on a small yet flourishing game called Kitty's Towers of Hell. And before you say anything, yes, I know the irony is palpable, but at the time I had a very small and fleeting YouTube channel which I had started during my high school days, back when I was 17 years old. That is when I had first entered the community. When I was 17, I emphasize this as it'll be important later. My home and social life was isolated, to say the least. I barely had any friends, and those that I did have all left me the moment I graduated from high school. Now, I want to go on record and state this publicly, as I want it to be heard by all. I am a loser, okay? So picture me when I first began making videos on this new game I had taken a liking towards. Barely any videos, let alone guides, were recorded during that era, so I saw an opportunity and I took it, steadily growing in both popularity and fame. Though, one thing I had neglected to take into account back then was my lack of knowledge on how to properly handle being so popular. So, it's really no surprise that I became arrogant. Any jabs towards me or my towers was taken as personal attacks. I was slowly growing more and more resentful towards the hand that fed me, lashing out at a few unlucky fans, all while hiding my temper between an aloof and carnal humor, the latter of which stemming from my own juvenile taste of jokes and comedy. Yes, I made a plethora of lewd and uncouth jokes, all of which I understand now are all completely tasteless and only look bad on my end, but it worked back then, okay? Everything was more edgy and crass back then, and it showed and reflected in the community itself. I'll admit it here, I'm not perfect, never claimed that I was, but I at least tried to act with tact for the most part, but I never really grew up to begin with. Past 17, I just stagnated at that same juvenile taste of comedy. It was what was working for me, and my stupid ass was too completely and utterly enamored within community at this point. Keep in mind I turned 18 when I was already quite sizable, and the whole concept of watching myself around minors had yet to be drilled into my skull. Of course I had internet safety lessons about stranger danger and all that, but it never once crossed me that I'd become the stranger in that situation. So, I continued to get older, the more oblivious I was to the world around me. Comments about me being weird were brushed off as simple jabs at my comedy. All the minors I was around was justified because I was one once. Of course it'd be ridiculous to drop a friend just because I turned older than them. Right? It's really amazing to me how fast the world can move without taking you along with it. The things you were comfortable with are now all considered wrong and immoral, and if you don't have the fortitude to adapt and move along with it, then, well, then you end up with me. Some sorry sod who ended up with a porn addiction and a complete lack of social awareness. Did I help shape the environment around me? Yeah, probably. I probably made an environment where it was okay and normal to talk and joke about lewd things like it was so far removed from being considered taboo. But I fell into that same pitfall too, damn it. I was just too dumb to realize I was stuck in a rut with no way out, only sinking deeper into degeneracy until... well. Eventually one night when I was down in the dumps, I went exploring. I was around 19 when this all started. Of course, I was already completely and utterly desensitized to carnal imagery, and my hormones were being hormones. That's when I was first introduced to the concept of erotic roleplay, and almost immediately it captivated me. Soon, it then spiraled into an addiction, one that was as potent and deadly as the others of its kind. Yet, all the while I had another addiction, that being to Jato. I was caught hook, line, and sinker between two kinds of degeneracy. One of belonging to a quite frankly sad obsession with the game and its community, the other a deluge of lust and adultery that shackled around me like handcuffs. I'm sure it doesn't really need to be said that oil and water don't mix, but this is the world I found myself in. Drenched in oil, trying to swim in the basin of water. All throughout my 19th, I spent switching between the two lives, one to appeal to my ego, the other to appeal to my lust. I was lost, utterly stuck between two worlds, trying to have my cake and eat it too. Yet in this situation, both cakes were poisoned and killing me slowly. That poison etching itself into me and perverting my whole personality into being as toxic as it was back then. I was unpleasant. It didn't take a genius to see that. Yet all the while I was expecting people to throw a pity party for me because I felt like I deserved it. Guess in the end I really did get what I deserved, eh? Now, you're probably wondering how I got from here to... I should have left the Jato community, right then and there. Left before me and them ever met. Packed my bag, stopped being a freak around everyone, and just sorted out my problems right then and there. But I didn't. Looking back on that brings me a disgust most pungent. I suppose that's what I'm doing now to a degree. Just keeping to myself, avoiding any communities I know have minors like damn plague. Watching and considering every action I do now with an insight past me could only dream of back then. But it doesn't matter. None of it matters now. We met back in Civil 3 years ago. Hell, it was probably around the time when this video is being uploaded. Again, I was 20, and this minor was 13. I don't know what the hell was going on with me to decide that this person would be so entertaining to be around, but we moved to DMs. I should have blocked them, but I digress. Already right now, I didn't start any of the sexual jokes and topics, but that doesn't exempt me from entertaining those horrid things. I was leading a life without a care in the world. Every single decision I made was with a half-hearted slog because I was too damn busy feeling sorry for myself to consider how my actions affect others around me. I viewed them as a close friend, someone as broken, as damaged as I, so it'd only be natural for me to provide some sort of care to them. There were moments where I realized what I was doing was wrong, but I was too easily lulled back in, having nor fortitude or prudence to even acknowledge how utterly screwed up of a mistake I was making was. Our friendship lasted a few months, from around the latter half of 2021 to early 2022. That's when I snapped out of whatever idiocy I was under and apologized with a long message. You know, I've been doing some self-reflection, and honestly, I'm kinda disappointed in myself for being so open with lewd things around you. I apologize profusely if I had ever made you feel uncomfortable all those times I had flustered you. In my eyes, I saw how happy it made you feel, but in reality, I was just doing something that could be seen as creepy. I think it would be best if we just talked to one another like how normal friends do and completely cut off all lewd and touchy jokes and topics. I do value you as a friend and making people feel warm and soft is a passion of mine, but one that should really only be left for adults. I will try my hardest to keep that sort of behavior strictly for those who are above the universal age limit. Once again, I do apologize for being so stupid. Signed, Punky. Here, they respond with, I was actually going to bring that up today and I agree, but don't even worry about it. I just want to talk with you again. I've seen much, much worse, so don't even worry about it. Well, I respond with, well, alright. Then, well, we went our separate ways. Of course, they still want to continue our previous lewd and perverted jokes, but I didn't entertain them anymore. I just ignored and moved on with my life. I'll explain now what even transpired with me and the minors, since while I don't want you to think that I'm glossing over this to save my own ass. No, as stated prior, I never held any sexual interest towards them, only to adult men and women I was sleeping around with at the time. Any contact I did have with the minor never exceeded simple hugs and cuddles and me playfully teasing them to make them happy and laugh during their mental breakdowns. Now, contact is a word I use loosely, as to go without saying that I never physically touched them, but by providing phantom sense, the ability to feel and read emotion off text, I was able to provide that feeling to them over the screen. I know that may as well be the nail in the coffin for some, but I have already been lying 6 feet under ever since people found out about it a year later. Yeah, one whole year I spent doing my own thing. Granted, I was beginning to smarten the hell up with my code of conduct, but too little, too late. I don't really remember the day. Hell, I don't ever want to recall back to it. But I was just gaming with my friends when I got added to a group chat with Juke and Duckmaster. We cordially greeted one another, and that's when I'm sure you could imagine how deep my heart sunk into my chest when the miner reported me for grooming them those many, many moons ago. I didn't want to lie, so I said yes. Yes, that was me. Right then and there, my time in J-To ended. I was unable to process that for a good while. Months, even. I did what anyone else would have done in my shoes. Panic, trying to get back into the good graces of the community. Juke and Duck both offered me a deal. Just leave and they'll keep it all under wraps. But I didn't really understand that. No, it couldn't be over. I had so many more ambitions and grand ideas for my towers and cosmetics. I had to do something to get everything back. If I could just strangle and beat the sense back into me, then I would have done so until I was sent to the emergency room, all bloodied and bruised. Eventually, it got leaked. You want to know the best part? It was by my undoing. I was too obsessed with trying to worm my way back in like a little revolting parasite that I ended up spilling the beans on myself. I think it was the moment when everyone found out is when it finally clicked for me. That moment when I deleted my channel out of cowardice. That moment when I spent months hiding DMs watching every single friend I had come to make disowning me in disgust. Is when it finally clicked. I feel like it's pretty hard to apologize in this day and age.
Well, yeah. I mean, everyone can say sorry, but whether or not you really mean it, that's something completely different. I know for you, you've been struggling to figure out how to apologize, what's appropriate to apologize, and even if you apologize, will it be accepted?
I think I'm far past the point of it being accepted or not.
Well, you may think you are, but you really aren't, because to be honest, you're moping around, and I know you've lost a lot, and your credibility is shit. But you know, I I don't think not apologizing is a way to go about it, but I know for you apologizing is important. I'm just worried of you reopening wounds for yourself and the other person.
I know. That's also what I'm worried too, but I'm telling not myself. I'm telling them quite confidently that none of this is their fault.
And that's good, because you're taking accountability for actions, knowingly or not, of what happened with that individual. And I mean, that's all you can do. I mean, it's not an easy place to be in, but I've watched you put yourself through a lot this past while, and I know that this is something that you really want to do, is putting that apology out there. I just sometimes wonder if it's for the person themselves, because I know you cut contact off with them, or if it's for the court of public opinion.
Guess it's a mix of both. I have some friends I want to apologize. Well, I call them friends, but I doubt they'd consider me the same. There's some other apologies I'd like to make too, but that can come after this.
Yeah, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, apologizing for what transpired with the minor, with said minor, that's obviously the more important of the situations. That, but yeah, it is a pressing issue, pressing matter that you need to that you've been wanting to address since everything came to light in the community, of that game I won't mention, because
you could say it.
Oh yeah, Roblox. Well, not Roblox itself, but in the what was it, the JTO? JTO?
Yeah, JTO.
I know that you shared with me of some of the things that the community as a whole discussed or talks about, and I wasn't happy about you engaging in that in those types of conversations, because at that time you were a minor as well, and it was inappropriate. But you said you don't talk to anyone personally, and I said, okay, that's fine. Remember, stranger danger, internet awareness,
yeah,
all that other stuff. And I guess in this situation it went in one ear out the other, and them be the way the cards fell there, kid.
Indeed. You really got no one else to blame here but myself.
No, you don't. But I mean, you're taking accountability. Has it been quite a while? Yes. But you spiraled into a dark place, and
I was in no position to apologize at the time.
No, you really weren't. As your parent, it was very heartbreaking to watch you go through what you put yourself through.
I could imagine.
You put you put yourself through a lot.
Not to mention the disappointment you might have felt.
Oh yeah, I was very disappointed, because I taught you to know better, I taught you about being appropriate and safe on the internet, and you took classes during all through school, and it's like you gave a big middle finger to it all. And I understand you were going through some after the fact, you told me the shit that you were going through and what you were doing online with this role play business.
Well, I showed you the DMs too, you know.
Yeah, and I read them, and I wouldn't say you were grooming them per se.
To some, it'll be, you know.
Yeah, to some it could be misconstrued. It can be understood as that. I'm not going to say misunderstood. I'm just going to say understood as that.
It's hard to argue against this kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, you really can't argue. It is what it is, and you have to accept that, because was your behavior inappropriate? Yes, 100%. Would you want to change it? Yeah. I mean, everybody wants to go back and fix their mistakes. For them to never have happened. But I'm not saying this is a but to excuse, but you've learned from it, and now you know how public the internet really is. I hope that this situation is a cautionary tale, but it's one of many cautionary tales, right? Like you had, Jenna Marbles. There are a couple other ones. Who else is there? The real groomer, that makeup one there.
James Charles.
That's the one. Like those, like that it's in itself. That's a groomer. You just shared fantasies, not what you wanted to do with this individual, but you still should not have shared those.
Everything you're saying with, I agree.
Do I think you're stupid in that sense? Yeah, you're stupid. You made stupid mistakes and you won stupid prizes, and we can't fix that though. We can only move on. You need to move on. The other person needs to move on. I don't know if they have or not. I would hope they have.
I also would hope they have, and that, I said it once, I'll say it again. I really hope I didn't fuck him up for this.
Yeah, because, it's a scary situation for them too, right? Whether or not they're the one who, based on the receipts I read, that they're the one who initiated the conversation. I'm not victim blaming, but they went out to speak with you.
Ultimately,
But you were the adult. Well, you are the adult, and you should have known better.
I should have, yes. I should not have entertained that kind of stuff.
No. You fucked around, you found out, man. Like, there's no easy way to put it.
There really isn't, no.
But at the end of the day, you're still my kid. I watched you put yourself through hell, mentally, physically, spiritually, and a whole lot emotionally. And that's a heartbreaking thing, because I know you're not at fault, but you are at fault. Do you know what I mean?
I do.
I'm happy that you're doing what you're doing for this.
Is it the right thing to do? I'm not too sure.
I don't know. That's why I said, like, who are you doing this for? Yes, I know you're doing it for yourself, because you sort of want to have this reprieve of the bullshit that you've been going through this last,
I think this is an apology to everyone, honestly.
Okay.
The minor, the community, to you, to me, to fucking Squiddy, to Light Synth, to everyone.
And that's fair, because people need to take accountability for their actions nowadays. And that's what you're doing.
The thing is, I want to take accountability. I really do, but I know for a fact every time I try and speak, it sounds like I'm trying to be a manipulative fucker over here who's trying to, put stuff between the lines, and I'm worried that people are just going to read between said lines and be like, oh, this piece of shit's trying to manipulate everyone to gain sympathy. Which, no, I don't. I don't want sympathy. I understand that like 90% of the fucking people watching this, not even 99.9% of people watching this are going to listen to everything I'm going to have to say and be like, this guy sucks, so why the hell should I ever forgive him?
Well, I mean, and then you're going to have to be okay with that.
I am. That's something I'm going to have to own.
Right? Yeah, you are going to have to own that. And I've been telling you, you're just going to have to own it. You can't sugarcoat it. People are going to think what they're going to think. They're going to be the keyboard warrior they're going to be. And I'm your mama, but you know I don't sugarcoat shit. I've always been telling you the way it is since forever. You know what I mean? Like, you know that I've been hard on you, but you also know that I've been soft with you on certain situations. But with this situation, it hurt, and I was in denial for a bit. You know, no, you couldn't do stuff like that, until I read the conversation and went, holy motherfuck, this is really inappropriate. But not once did I see where you wanted to enact your fantasies with this person, with this minor. The one screenshot that did get leaked, that was way out of context. That came from because they were upset that day and you wanted to give them a hug as a friend.
But I was apprehensive about it.
Well, yeah, because you knew that they were a minor, and you know that contact between adult and minor nowadays can get misconstrued, which so it should, but you wanted to hug a friend. You didn't want to hug a minor. You know what I mean?
I do.
Like there was a very blurred line there. It totally got taken out of context.
It's hard to tell mood through text.
It is. It's because you're missing tone, diction, and then when you get a little snippet, there's no context, right? Yeah. Because, well, I can't remember how it read completely, but I know something along the lines like, I know you're a minor and da-da-da, but I feel like I want to give you an embrace. But the way you speak kind of poetically.
I speak like a fucking idiot, but...
Well, yeah. No, you speak poetically when you write. Like, when you write shit to me when you're venting, it reads like a fucking 19th century poet. So it's like, fuck sakes, now I gotta, like, go in my head and, like, fucking translate it to today's language. So, you know, when you say embrace, you don't mean, like, sexually. You meant, like, that's why I said you should have just said, I wish I could give you a hug. And I told you, like, man, fix up your fucking language a bit. Because, shit, even I have a hard time understanding what you write to me. That's why I'm like, huh? Because you're very poetic that way. It's a very...
to a detriment.
Well, yeah, I mean, to a point. But... not to a point where you would want to manipulate someone into thinking anything other than what you're presenting.
I'm not putting anything between the lines.
Yeah, you don't have a hidden agenda. You legitimately want to apologize because it's warranted. You want to apologize because you know you need to apologize, because you have to take responsibility and accountability for what you did. And that's what you're wanting to do with this project. And I'm still very apprehensive about it.
I am too.
But if you need to do it for you to move on and to stop being moody around the house and doing other things to hurt yourself, then yes. It's been an exhausting, 2 years?
Well over 2 years.
Yeah, well over 2 years. So it's been exhausting. It's been tiring to watch. You become a shell of a person you used to be. I know that there are other things that made you a shell, and those are my actions that I need to take responsibility for. But I'm not saying that that's a pass either.
It's not.
But people fuck up in life. People fail. And
some more egregious than others.
Yes, there are varying degrees, but there's still degrees of fuck ups. And they all warrant apology. And they all warrant accountability. So this is you doing that. And, you know, I just hope for you the best. But at the end of the day, you need to move on. You need to move on for me. You need to move on for you. You need to move on for the people involved, especially for the minor in topic, and for you, because you deserve to move on too.
I hurt a lot of people. It feels pretty terrible, and I don't know how to make it better. I still don't know how to end this, even after all these months of laying in bed staring at the ceiling in my room during the early hours of morning. Not a wink of sleep to comfort me as I rewrite the script over and over and over again. For months I spent trying to perfect this goodbye. And I know I'm not exactly in a position to leave of my own accord, but ultimately, none of this matters in the end. I'm still no better than the same slob I was those 3 years ago, but I can accept that now. I'm not a good person, but I'm trying to do a good thing with this. Change? Change isn't something that could just be proclaimed by shouting at the top of your lungs when you're backed into a corner, but it's earned by the continuing down that course of betterment. I want to continue down that path, with a full sincerity. This is something I won't ever forget. I'll remind myself constantly of the horrendous sins I've committed here on Jato, and I'll use those memories to ensure that I never make those same mistakes again. Yet I can't accept the road to that betterment without first realizing myself and what mistakes I even created were. You won't see me around the Jato community again. I have no desire to return or to be let back in. Although, I do have some final words for some few key people. To Ziquity, I know back then you wanted to help me, and I appreciate that, I really do. I had no right to spit that kind of venom at you when you were only trying to help me. I was too insane and delusional to be helped at that moment, and I apologize for that. I wish you the best of luck on your future endeavors. To Lightsynth, you desired the truth, yet you saw it in its most naked and unhinged form. I was too much of a madman to be interviewed back then, still desperately clinging on to what I felt like I deserved. I let my own insanity spike and stab you without a care or any consideration. Truly, I'm sorry. Once more to the minor, none of this is your fault. I'll say that time and time again because it's true. The sheer amount of shame that I feel is innumerable, to be honest. And I can only hope that by expressing this much remorse and regret that you can move on without any pain. And to anyone who may have ever considered me a friend, I cannot even begin to comprehend the sheer levels of disappointment and shame you must have felt upon learning of my sins. I am too far gone to ever rekindle such friendships again, but I hope the memories we made along the way were not completely tarnished and tainted. Truly. Goodbye. The future will remain uncertain, but there's one thing I can assure you all of. I'm trying to seek help. It shall be my own personal penitence. Part of that lies down below this video. I'm leaving the comments on. I won't hide from whatever vitriol you all may have. No matter how pained and upset the comments are, I won't hide this time. As for me, will I return? That's for me to decide. Ultimately, I was born and raised on the internet. This environment is what I'm most acclimated to, even if I had made such an egregious blunder. Suffice to say, this will remain undetermined for now. Though, if I do return, I'll take everything I've learned, and I'll work for everything once more. From nothing, I'll rise back up. I only hope that I'm greeted by a second wind and not a swan song. My name has been Punkyjoe, and I bid you all adieu.